Hey guys, it's me Breezy. I'm here today to talk to you about porosity. Now, porosity is the hair's ability to absorb and retain moisture. Don't be alarmed. I'm looking down at my notepad to make sure that I don't forget anything. Okay, so basically porosity concerns the cuticle layer. Now, the cuticle layer protects the inside of the hair shaft against damage and also allows moisture into your hair. Now, a lot of the ways to think of the cuticle layer is to think of it like roof tiles. They lay flat against they lay flat. So kind of like roof tiles on a roof, the kind of like the way the shingles are. That's kind of how your cuticle layer is made up. That's how the scales are made up. Another way to think of it is kind of like Venetian blinds, the way they kind of lay flat against each other. And so, like I've mentioned in my previous video, last week I found out that I myself have low porosity hair. With that being said, that means that my cuticle layer, the scales on my cuticle layer are very compact and they lay flat. One of the ways, another way to think of it is the just lost my train of thought. Okay, so basically I have low porosity hair. And with low porosity hair, that means it just makes it really hard for moisture to penetrate into the hair shaft. That's basically what that means. So another level of porosity is high porosity. And with high porosity, that means that the scales on the cuticle layer are open very wide, making it very easy for moisture to be absorbed into the hair. Okay, so low porosity, the scales are laying very flat, they're compressed, they're compact, and it makes it a little difficult. It makes it more difficult for moisture to absorb into the hair. And high porosity, where the scales are open wide, and it makes it very easy for the hair to absorb moisture. So those are the two extreme levels of porosity, the low and the high. And then there's somewhere in the middle where your hair is able to absorb moisture at a normal rate, and is also able to retain moisture at a normal rate. So that means you're not losing moisture at a higher rate, and you're not and it's not making it very hard to get that moisture into the hair. Of course, when it comes to things like that, there are also always pros and cons to either side. Now, some of the pro to having low porosity hair is that once the moisture gets into the hair shaft, it's in there. It's not going anywhere. It's in there to stay, baby. That moisture gets in there and it snaps shut. Bam. You don't have to worry about it at all. Now, a con to that is that it makes it really hard for the moisture to get in there. It's hard to get that moisture in the hair. So that's a pro and the con of low porosity. When it comes to high porosity, one of the pros is that your hair soaks up the moisture so easily. It's like a sponge. It just soaks it all up. Now, a con is just how with low porosity hair, it's, once the moisture gets in there, with high porosity hair, it's always leaving. Your shaft, your scales on the cuticle layer are wide open. So the moisture is getting in there really easy, but it's leaving really easy as well. So those are some of the pros and cons to low and high porosity hair. Now you might be sitting there watching this thinking, well, how can I tell if I have low or high porosity hair? Now, what I did last week, I'll tell you the test that I did, and you can see if this works for you. I did a porosity check. Basically, you just get a dish or cup, glass, bowl of water, and you want to fill that dish with water. And then you want to take some shed hairs from your hair, and you want to make sure that they are shed hair. You'll see the little white bulb at the root. You don't want to get any broken hairs or anything like that. So just make sure that you have shed hairs, and you want to place them inside that dish, glass or bowl, whatever you use. Now, if your hair sinks immediately, just starts to slowly sink to the bottom, then you have high porosity hair. That just means that the cuticle layers are wide open and it's absorbing all the moisture. And as it absorbs the moisture, it gets heavy and it sinks. Now, if you place your shed hairs in that bowl or that dish, and it floats right on top, Then you have low porosity hair. The cuticle layers are snapped shut, and it's not allowing any moisture into that hair shaft, into the cuticle. So it's just laying right on top, just floating. Now, the way to find out if you have normal porosity hair, as it's called, if your shed hairs are in that dish and it just slowly sinks, then you have normal porosity hair. Now, let's see. There are other ways just in normal life for you to figure out if you have normal, low, or high porosity hair. Some ways to think of it is, does it seem like it takes your hair forever to dry? Once it gets wet, does it take forever to dry? Then you have low porosity hair. You may have low porosity hair. Does it seem like your hair, if it is colored, or if it's ever been colored, does it seem like it just loses its color very quickly? Then you may have high porosity hair. Does it seem like your hair requires a lot of moisture, like you have to moisturize your hair once or twice a day? Then you may have high porosity hair. Have you ever colored your hair and it seems like the color stayed on your hair for a really long time? Like your hair you colored it red and it was red for months. Then you may have low porosity hair. There are other ways. You can always look online and you can always double check the facts that I'm giving you. Feel free. But those are just some of the other ways, other than doing a porosity check, that you may have low or high porosity hair. That's pretty much it. I will be back with another part to this, and that's basically is ways to help your porosity, things that you can do to help you retain moisture. And that's pretty much it. I keep losing my train of thought because there's so much stuff going on in my head right now that I want to talk about, but I don't want to give too much at one time. I mean, who wants to watch a 30-minute video on porosity? Come on now. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll be back soon with part 2 to it. Thank you. Bye.